what's happening? It's Chris from Redbeard Videos. I'm here with another episode of The Fives, and I know usually you don't get to see this pretty mug when we do The Fives, but it's a new year. I've been doing this for a little while now, and I've decided that I think my face is pretty enough that it's no longer made just for radio anymore. So I think we're just going to try and do The Fives this way for a while and see how it goes. Because, quite frankly, I've been told by a few of you that this is the way to go. So let's see if this truly is the way to go. And there are several ways that you can reach out to me and let me know whether or not this is the way to go. You can comment down below, as usual. You can get in touch with the social media site, which is @VideosBeard, which is on Twitter, Redbeard Videos on Facebook. Now, progressive rock and metal specifically are known for a few very specific traits. Lots of keyboards usually. Now, just to specify, I know I've talked about before, when I type on the keyboard, I type from the eyes, but when I play the piano, I play like a normal person, just because it's hard to play piano from like right here. You get fingers in the eyes, it's weird. But there's lots of keyboards, lots of different time signatures, usually amazing musicianship, like blow your mind type of musicianship, and concept albums that tell stories through song. But probably the most recognizable trait in a prog rock or prog metal song is the epic song. Now, what do I mean by epic song? It could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different peoples. Peoples?
Peoples is peoples.
It could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The story could be huge. It could be an epic tale, like certain albums like Ayreon, The Human Equation, or Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater. Those are epic stories, but those are full albums. There could be an instrumental section, like a guitar solo or a bass solo, some sort of drum lick that just blows your mind away and it's off the hook bananas. Or there could be some sort of epic breakdown, like Between the Buried and Me is mastered, getting up to it and then like dropping the hammer, and it makes you want to set your house on fire or something. I don't know. The point is, epic could mean anything to anybody. So, with all of that in mind, I'm going to base the concept of epic on the length of the song. That's going to be the main metric by what I base this on. I'm also going to look at the basic feel of the song, and you get the feeling of when something's just epic, right? When it's just epic, I am also not using any other metric at all. Like, I'm not going to use the length of the guitar solo, who's playing guitar, who's singing the song, or what kind of story it is. No, basically it's just my personal liking, the length of the song, and I will explain why I think it's the most epic song there is. Now, I recognize, and I will say till my dying day, that there is no actual measure for what makes one song better than another. You could come up to me and say, well, this song is better than that song because there's more notes, or this guy is playing guitar, or this drummer, or you can't possibly think. I think, okay, that's what it is. I think, and I know. I will find a way to argue against you and tell you, no, that's just your opinion. So what we're going to do today is we're going to count down my top 5 epic songs of all time. And even though I very much specifically said that there is no measurement for making one song better than another, with that being said though, these 5 songs are definitely the most epic and they're the best of the best. And by all means, argue with me. Like I said, comment down below. Drop them. Tell me why my 5 epic songs are not the most epic songs there are. And I will specify also that this countdown is going to be somewhat of an anthology, meaning there's going to be a part 2 to this. For this list, the only true metric that I'm keeping the lid on is 15 minutes. These songs are 15 minutes or over. So these are the truly epic ones, the monstrous ones. These songs could be 60 minutes long, but there'll be another video coming in the future where we're going to count down the top 5 songs that are from 10 to 15 minutes. So before you go commenting, I think that this Between the Buried and Me song, or this song by Rush was better than this one, or this Dream Theater song is way better than... Trust me, there will be others. So right now, let's get to our list with our number 5. legendary band from Sweden has no less than 4 or 5 songs that clock in at over 20 minutes. And much more if I stayed in the 15-minute range. They probably eclipse 10 songs that are between 15 and 20 minutes. Now, I can already hear the collective shouting from across the land from Flower Kings fans, especially those from the old guard from the beginning of the band's career, who think that 1997 song, Stardust We Are, is the be-all, end-all of epic songs from the Kings. But I will endure their wrath gladly and definitely disagree with them here. If I were to do a tail of the tape type of comparison, they're both 25 minutes long. Both Numbers and Stardust We Are 25 minutes long. They both have pretty distinct movements within them, and they're both pretty damn great songs overall. So this is no knock on Stardust. It's a great, great song. I just think what separates 2012's Numbers, which was the opening track from their Banks of Eden album, is the vocal performances and the general flow of the song.
Look inside her, and now she's gone, so bring the darkness down.
I don't want to get too like in the weeds here, but Stardust kind of, I don't know, it meanders a little bit and it gets a little too jammy for me and a little too atmospheric. Like it doesn't move enough for me. But again, that's just a personal preference. You know, there are probably some Pink Floyd fans out there that are really into that atmospheric thing, and that's why they would choose Stardust over Numbers. I, for one, like a song that keeps the pace and just keeps moving. So that's why I would choose Numbers. But that being said, the main thing that I truly love about this song is there's a middle section that builds up and it comes to this paramount moment and everything seems to come to fruition all at once. It all just merges into the same lane. It's like watching traffic merge. And to me, this is a major component of the long song, the epic song. If you're writing and recording one, you need to know this. So get a pen and get some paper. Jot this down if you're a novice songwriter. If you don't write an epic moment in your epic song, you've definitely lost me. You'd be surprised at how many 15 to 20 minute songs I hear in my lifetime that I've heard already or I continue to hear that fail miserably at reaching an apex moment in their song. Numbers nails the shit out of this, and they do it in such a big way that it's rightfully placed on this list. It also doesn't hurt that one of the most amazing live performances I've ever seen in my life was seeing the Flower Kings open with this song at Rozfest in 2013 in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was just one of the most ballsiest opening things I've ever seen in my life. So well done. Song deserves to be where it is.
And then the numbers may not come up right, and the artifacts are more than frightening.
This song is just beyond, like, epic is just not even enough to describe this song. For an album that clocks in at just under 60 minutes through only 6 tracks, the word epic applies to this entire release. The Great Misdirect is the name of the album. With that being said, this song, the last track on the album, Swim to the Moon, stands out. Hell, it towers like a skyscraper over the rest of this album in a multitude of ways. First off, it clocks in at nearly 18 minutes, which is a big feat of heavy metal mastery. No band besides maybe Opeth has been able to navigate the long-form prog metal song and be quite as heavy throughout as Between the Buried and Me has been able to do. And at this point in their career, when The Great Misdirect came out, it was definitely a pinnacle for them.
It's been a long night away from it all. Programming authority of my peers.
Technical, melodic, despite having a vocalist who screamed more than sang at the time when Tommy Rogers, he definitely has incorporated way more melody in his repertoire these days, but back then, he definitely did way more screaming. The song's got well-constructed movements that last just enough time to not get boring and actually go somewhere, like I said, with Numbers as compared to Stardust We Are. There's very few times in any Between the Buried and Me song, and specifically with Swim to the Moon, where the movements get stagnant and they get really, they don't really fall in love with their riffs as much as some other bands. Iron Maiden. Since then, BT Bam has made a living at the 15-minute song, but none of them have reached the level of this track. Not to say that all the other epic songs that they've made since then haven't been great. I love all of them, honestly. It just speaks to the pure brilliance of Swim to the Moon. During the segment before about Numbers, about leading up to the moment. Well, BT Bam not only creates moments, but sometimes they create 2 or 3 within a song, within one song. And when they create a moment, not only do they create it, but they burn it the fuck down. I've sat in the audience during many great bands' epic moments and have been moved. Steven Wilson, Dream Theater, even Rush. They've moved me with their songs. With this song, I felt like I wanted to break through a fucking brick wall. Like it wasn't even, like I wanted to fight someone, okay? And I'm not a violent person, that's not my thing. Seeing this song performed live twice, I can tell you the entire crowd was whipped into a frenzy, the likes I've never seen in any show ever. With a pretty much a mid-sized character in the name of Tommy Rogers. He's a pretty laid-back, smallish kind of guy. He's up there leading the chant, and I've never seen a movement like that. He was standing over the crowd, hanging onto a pole. And I've been to like 600 shows in my life, and I've never seen anything like that. This song easily ranks not only on this list, but any list of metal songs that I would ever make, ever. It's an all-time song, period. Epic is a understatement if there's ever been one. In 1972, the long-form prog rock epic song was kind of a regular thing, with bands and artists like Frank Zappa, Genesis, and King Crimson around, plus other jam-type bands like the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers. Hearing a 15-plus minute song was not terribly unusual. Piece apart from the rest is Yes's Close to the Edge sets up more like an orchestral piece than most other rock type tunes. See, Frank Zappa tended more towards the storytelling or the performance art song, and Genesis and King Crimson, they did a little bit of both. They would dabble in the prog rock, they would get into atmosphere, they would get into jammy type stuff, and they would also do the performance art. Well, you figure all that out because that's all weird avant-garde stuff. But yes, more than their contemporaries, definitely seemed to write music that didn't ostracize anybody and was very accessible to most of their listeners.
Some caution take away the start your memory. Only know the journey takes you on the way. It's apart from any reality that you've ever seen or known.
Now, if you can figure out how they're both accessible and epic at the same time, I have to tell you that's quite a feat. That's very impressive to me. Yes accomplishes it beautifully more than once. I had to choose between this song and one of my other very favorite songs of all time called Awaken, which was on the Going for the One album back in the late 70s, which is about 6 or 7 years after this song came out. As a pillar for prog rock bands for decades now is why Close to the Edge ranks above Awaken. Awaken is kind of a song that's buried. It's very obscure. Not a lot of people know it unless you're a huge Yes fan. Close to the Edge is referenced by many prog acts as a massive influence on their work going forward. And not only that, but Close to the Edge has everything you could ever want from one singular piece of music. It's got technical movements. It's got great guitar work. It's got wonderful harmonies. It's got awesome atmosphere. Beautiful vocal performance by John Anderson, and one of my very favorite bass lines of all time by the late great Chris Squire. And you can just hear the influence on this one. Geddy Lee immediately comes to mind. The Edge was one of the very first epically long songs that I fell in love with as a kid, clocking in at over 18 minutes long. It never ever feels too long, and I never get bored even during the middle atmospheric part. Even during the middle atmospheric part, I love it. I'm just completely in awe of this song, and I never want to skip any part of it. It's one of those songs that despite its 18 plus minute running time, if I'm in the car and I pull up to my destination, I don't care if it just started, if we're 3 minutes in, if we're 15 minutes in, I'm sitting and I'm listening to the rest of the song, and that's just that. It's that friggin' good.
Seasons will pass you by. Now that it's all over and done, go to the sea, right to the sun. Now that you're high, now that you're home.
Boy, this one was tough. With a band that produces so many songs that range in the 15 to 20 minute range, it's hard narrowing down what Dream Theater song I wanted to put on this list. It was not an easy feat, and they all are epic. They're all huge, every one of them. Dream Theater, a lot like Between the Buried and Me, they've mastered this art form of making an interesting 15 plus minute song without droning on and on and on with the same thing over and over again. This piece is interesting though in the fact that it's one of the very first Dream Theater songs that they ever wrote as a band. And it was supposed to be recorded for their first album, Images and Words, their first major release anyway. If you're one of those people that want to get on the comments and go, well, technically their first album was When Dream and Day Unite, and most people just think it's Images. Shut up. We all know that the first real album was Images and Words, okay? I digress. But it didn't see the light of day. A Change of Season didn't see the light of day until the EP entitled A Change of Season. after their second album, Awake. Now, I don't know how many musicians are watching, but most bands don't churn out 23-minute masterpieces on their first try. Now, this tune plays out like a movie. Slow intro at the beginning, bombastic open, and then all the musical fireworks that you would expect from a Dream Theater song in their prime. James LaBrie is at his absolute best in this song, with some of my favorite vocal lines in his entire career. Hell, some of my favorite vocal lines from anyone's career. Wonderful melodies on this song. Of course, everyone else from Petrucci to Portnoy absolutely shines on this album. As a matter of fact, the only thing that might hurt this nearly perfect song is Mike Portnoy's snare sound on this. It sounds like someone's hitting a piece of loose leaf paper. Do I have paper here somewhere? That's kind of what it sounds like. Mike, who told you this was a good idea? Anyway. However, that doesn't detract from how amazing this song truly is. Having had the luxury of hearing this song live twice, once in its entirety from beginning to end, they closed an already 2-hour and 45-minute long show with this song, which also featured Scenes from a Memory played in its entirety. That was an epic show, and maybe we will do that list someday.
Sorry about the short set.
But having heard this song completely from front to back, done in its entirety, and then another time they sprinkled the movements throughout the full 2.5-hour show. It's one of those things that I've stood in awe of the performance of this song in any incarnation that it comes out. It's just an amazing, amazing tune.
I sat down with my son, set to say the crimson sunset.
And that brings us to our number one. But before that, let's remember to check out that Twitter feed at VideosBeard. The box should be right there. And then the Facebook page, Redbeard Videos on Facebook. And now let's take a look at some epic honorable mentions.
Don't you know that I'm loving you? In a Galava Vita, baby.
You gotta be crazy. You gotta have a real need. You gotta sleep on your toes. Run around the
sit still by a pool. He's been stamped human bacon by some butchery tool. He is
Possibly one of the most recognizable sounds in all of prog rock history. From the very beginning of that opening whoosh, this track is a piece of musical art that basically changed the course of music history. More than any other song on this list, and most lists, this track took a band from the brink of extinction to new levels of success. Levels that would eventually see Rush widely regarded as the fathers of prog metal and undisputed legends in both rock and later on, pop culture. With the story deriving from the genius of Ayn Rand, as lyricist and drummer Neil Peart puts it, this song plays out like a movie, kind of like Change of Season. From the bombastic overture to the vocal introduction of the priests of the temples of Ceres.
We've taken care of everything. What you read, the songs you sing, the pictures that give pleasure to your eyes. It's one for all the ones we work together. Common sense never needs to wonder how or why.
And then to Alex Lifeson's convincing tuning of a found guitar. This audio plays out like a heroic movie. From a musical standpoint, this song is heavy for its time, very heavy for its time. 1976, there wasn't a ton of very heavy music, like actual heavy music out there. Rush presented themselves in the mid-70s in the same vein as Deep Purple and maybe even Sabbath to a degree, but they had way more accessibility. While Deep Purple would wade into jam tracks on occasion, and Black Sabbath were always kind of dark and brooding lyrically and musically, Rush always seemed to try and include everyone with their music. With 2112, even though it's a 20-minute song and served as an entire side for a record and cassette tape in 1976, that was very, very big and very long. Now, despite the fact that the record label wanted more radio-friendly singles, this was Rush's answer, and I and the world, all of you, we're all very thankful for that. It's my opinion that 2112 is the most important song in the history of prog metal. Bands like King's X, Porcupine Tree, Dream Theater, even heavier bands like Dillinger Escape Plan and Meshuggah, they just don't exist. Or at the very least, have little to no success if 2112 wasn't made and doesn't break through the way that it did.
I don't think I can carry on this cold and empty life.
And that's our list. What epic songs do you believe should be on this list? Leave them in the comments below. And please, why not, like the video, subscribe to the page so you'll know when we post more things. And even if you dislike my ugly mug, because you're gonna see more of it, you can tell me all about it. Tell me about this blemish. I got a blemish right there. Look at that. Look at that. Winter is making me break out because I have to wear hats like this because bald head, dude's cold. So I'm getting blemishes on my face now. And you can follow it by subscribing. So it's that easy. Just subscribe. And also hit the social media sites, which I'm not going to tell you about them again because you should have been paying attention. I told you there was going to be a quiz at the... I didn't tell you about the quiz. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you that much. And we'll check in with you next time. Bye.